The operation. We have a quorum present and we're ready to proceed with the agenda. First is the minutes of the March 5th meeting, which were sent to the members of the committee. Any questions, changes?
I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Carried. On to the executive committee charter. And Mike, if you can fill us in on any revisions.
Chairman, the packet included the executive committee charter. The charter simply modified selection of members of the committee on page 2. The executive committee shall consist of chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, and up to 3 independent board members as selected by the chair of the board of directors. As you know, we reviewed all of the committee charters as part of a general overview of our bylaws and committee structure. Andy Howard and I worked on these with Sarah Sterling when she chaired the governance committee, and they recommended, approved by the governance committee and recommended to each committee to review their own charter, and then will be reviewed by and approved by the full board, and then posted on the ABO website. Any questions? If not, we recommend that committee approve their charter.
All right. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Sorry.
Next item on our agenda is the annual meeting review. I think we had a terrific annual meeting. We had a great speaker. We had great attendance. The only real issue I had was it was $2,600 more than last year. And primarily due to the closing of Kozol's and the requirement that we had to have a caterer, and in that line item is renting plates, doing setup, and the like. So, I think the audio visual was up by $275 because of the increased labor cost of bringing it down here, setting it up, and having a person here. When I looked at the invoice, the increase was not in renting the equipment, but was the labor. Mm-hmm. Advertising, we did run 3 ads in the Register Star as a package rather than 1. And we also did the Columbia paper this year. Printing annual report and program and posters. We didn't do posters last year. I think the printing costs have gone up. We tried to use local printers. So we could go online and use any one of the overnight national printing services and do better. But we do use ProPrint printers. And then we didn't do video this year, so we only did still photography. It's still under $10,000, but I don't know. I guess we could have continental breakfast, perhaps, if you wanted to. But it's with a $1 million plus budget. I think we were very frugal in the past, and I think we'll just work to ensure that next year the audio, visual, and advertising and printing are. We can reduce it to 2 ads. We can reduce it to a couple pages in the booklet and the like. But I like to buy wholesale, but sometimes you can't. Any questions?
Was the turnout as good as you had expected?
It's better.
Or better?
We had more people than last time.
Yeah, it was one.
Mm-hmm.
We had good press. I was going to compare to 2020 and 2021, but it was COVID and we were online. 2022 was Dr. Urschel at Kozel's, and that was about the same. But I want to thank Riley for doing the graphics and copy for the program and for the report. We have in the past gone out for a subcontractor to do that. We were able to do that in-house. I think I was a little disappointed with the fact that we had the audiovisual. Several of the speakers said they were going to bring a stick with slides, and turned out that they didn't need to. But I do think it adds, even with our slides and putting the sponsors' names up there, it adds a level of sophistication and professionalism to the event. And but when they came in and I said, "Where's your stick?" And said, "Oh, I didn't do it." I'm like, all right. Any questions on the annual meeting?
Observations?
When I was talking to people walking around, they seemed like it was a lot better than they expected, and the new venue I thought it worked out well for us.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was very nice.
It was like lighter and brighter and somehow more welcoming in a way, I guess.
Well, and I think, the difficulty at Kozel's was that, once you were out of the front room and you were back in under the roof,
Yeah.
and half the group was in the back. And, they were easy to work with, but, again, they have costs associated with, and they didn't charge us for the space, but then we did end up paying them for some extras.
Yeah, even keeping it under 10,000 with all the inflation and everything going up, I think that's great.
Yeah. Well, it's still $85 a head. No. And we've looked at the other organizations like ours that charge, and you'll get about half the people.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to thank Mike Lewinsky for urging the Green Board to submit a proposal.
Yeah.
That was very
Yeah,
well.
that
And
worked
for
out well.
the photography, we have some great shots we'll send around to you.
Any other comments, observations about the annual meeting? We have a contractual issue to be discussed. Oh, I guess we can do that later. I'm sorry. Executive search timeline is mine. As you know, Mike Tucker is under contract with us as our president and CEO through the end of 2025. That's correct, Mike?
Actually, that's what we discussed. I think the contract runs June to June.
Okay, all right. And we discussed the possibility.
Yeah, you're right. It's the end of 2025.
Okay, very good. And so at some point in the not too distant future, we need to begin the process of creating a search committee and defining the timeline. I haven't appointed the search committee yet, but my intent is to appoint all members of the executive committee to be included in the executive search committee, and there will be other individuals as well. But I just wanted to, for discussion purposes, to think about the calendar for the rest of this year and all of 2025, and kind of work backward and see when we need to begin the search process in earnest. If we want whoever is hired to overlap with Mike, so he or she can learn from the master as to who the contacts are, what the issues are, where the bodies are buried, and so forth, then, is that a 3-month overlap? Do we want a 6-month overlap? If it's 6 months, then it's mid-2025 that we would have the person on board, which means we'd have to have hired the person at least 3 months earlier than that, which means, and And basically, we should have started yesterday.
Yeah.
And some aspects of my contract we can discuss in the executive session.
Sure, sure.
I think it's important. I think one of the things we have to look at in the context of the next item on the agenda, although I'm not trying to jump there, but it is relevant, is the update on the staffing issue. We had gone out when Jessica left in October, or in November, December, we took out ads, we posted on various industry association websites, both at the national and local state level, in the International Economic Development Organization that we're members of, as well as the New York State Economic Development Organization. We posted on the New York State Planners Association. We went to the state job board at the college through Chris Nardone and the workforce team. We actually went to the career offices at Hudson Valley, Columbia Green, Union, UAlbany, and Siena, and St. Rose. And we also asked administrators at St. Rose if there were any faculty or administrators who were being laid off and might be interested. To no avail. Riley and I redid that whole cadre of channels, and we also included what's called Gannon's List, which is a Peter Gannon, who was the head of the United Way when he was running the Arsenal Partnership, created a job board, pay $100, and your post goes up for jobs like this, not-for-profit association and government-related jobs in the capital region. We redid that 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we've received one resume. I are reviewing it, and we can report on that at another time. So when you look at it, really the question becomes, is your search for the executive a function of redefining that position and backfilling with some of the work that I do? And what are the skill sets that you want? Is it someone who has experience and knowledge and visibility already in the community, but may not have the technical economic development skills that I brought? And so I think part of it will be, to some degree, getting input from you early on the reimagining the structure of the organization itself in terms of staffing, in an effort to try to identify the type of candidate that you're looking for as a leader. There are some organizations, if you take Saratoga Economic Development as an example, they had a well-seasoned interim director who had been in economic development for years. And they brought in as their new CEO, my good friend Greg Connors, who had been a town supervisor and had been the government affairs person for Global Foundries. Putting that CEO position in a different, not that he doesn't work hard and doesn't provide guidance and insight and strategy, but again, someone who had not come up through economic development channels per se. So I think that there's a lot to discuss at the committee level and at the board level, and I think we have the time to do it. But I think the early discussion should be, when we go out, we're not going to find a Jessica exactly. You're not going to find a me exactly. And what does that mean in terms of redefining the organizational staffing in a more global sense, as opposed to just picking an executive?
So my thought, and to your point about timing, is there any way we can combine these kind of two issues? Like, is there any wisdom to bring somebody on to fill fill Jessica's spot with the idea that he takes over for you and use that year as kind of a training or to get his feet wet, then move him up and then,
A father of 3 daughters, his or her.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's what we were talking about with Jessica, that the aspect of that is, I don't think you want to make any promises. Because, yeah, you might decide you want to do a local and national search at the point as you get close, but, and again, well, we can discuss it, because it relates to employment of a specific person, in the executive session. But, yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Sure.
You know, when John Egan was running the Albany Airport, and his deputy, Mr. O'Donnell, was there, they did a national search and picked Mr. O'Donnell. But nonetheless, when they saw someone coming in without any, you know, bringing in someone from Kansas to run this would not be a great idea. Because by the time they get up the learning curve, and I know we had, again, I don't want to discuss a particular candidate, but we had someone who was looking to come here from out of state. And, you know, I think it would have been a bigger reach. But I do think they do tie together, and I thank the chairman for you know, focusing in on both issues at the same time.
Good. I would like to ask for a motion for an executive session on a contractual matter.
Motion?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carried. In the executive session, the executive committee discussed the possibility of renewing the lease for our space here at the One Hudson City Center. Is there a motion
I'll make a motion
to extend,
to extend the.
Just send it to the board for,
to recommend that the board approve a 5-year extension of the lease?
Abstain.
I second.
Understood. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carried.
Thank you. Good. Finally, Mr. Chairman, back in December, I had reported that we had been asked to coordinate a meeting amongst the executive directors or board chairs of various foundations in the county. Included the Bank of Greene County Foundation, Berkshire Taconic, the Community College Foundation, the Hospital Foundation, the Berkshire Taconic Fund for Columbia County, Hudson River Bank and Trust Foundation, the T. Backer Fund, which is Judy Grunberg's foundation, the Galvin Foundation, Pioneer Bank Rhinestone Foundation, which is Richard Koski, the Spark of Hudson. And we had 20 people attend the luncheon in December. We're been asked to host it again in next Monday. And we have 15 people signed up representing the key organizations. We had, at the previous meeting, Don Gibson suggested that we do a survey. I provided a copy of the survey for you, and we might ask our board, we might send this with your permission to the board, ask them to, obviously we clean it up so that we weren't asking you what foundation you thought might have a relationship between each other. But basically, it's trying to identify what we think are the most pressing issues, whether it's healthcare, childcare, taxes, infrastructure, housing, broadband, whatever, and give us a sense of kind of the information you would ask your board and perhaps even beyond your board as part of a strategic planning process. I know we're very pleased that Dr. Urschel and Brian Mahoney are coming from the hospital. I think the principals of the various foundations have been most interested in the status of of the hospitals, both financially and in terms of service to the community. I did attend at their invitation, the reopening of the copay urgent care. And Dr. McKenna came down from Albany and was very complimentary of the team at Columbia Memorial, as well as was very definitive about their support and partnership with the hospital as part of the Albany Med system. And I think somebody can find out more about the status of the hospital. Jim is going to join us as the CEDC board chair.
Good. The October board meeting.
Yes.
You had asked if we might want to change the date of that meeting.
I'm on the board of Ulster Savings Bank, and we have an annual conference. It's usually the first week of November. This year, it's the last week of October. Therefore, I'm not going to be in town or available to participate in the October 29th board meeting. And I had asked Jim if you could consider moving it to the previous Tuesday, which would be October 22nd. And we could certainly poll the board to ensure there was a quorum before we change the date.
Are you open to that?
Yeah. So I actually have it in my calendar.
I thought I have it in
We
my
must
calendar.
have brought it up.
Maybe we already did it. Did we
Well,
move
is
it?
it,
Well, I have a question mark.
Okay.
Isn't this usually the meeting's the fourth
Yeah,
Tuesday of the
for
month?
the last Tuesday.
Oh, the
the
last,
last
okay,
Tuesday.
so on my Google Calendar,
Okay.
the
Oh, it
date,
is fourth?
it's, you gotta do that
All right, well,
before,
let's see if we get a
because there's
quorum.
5 Tuesdays that month.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll ask the full board at the next meeting.
The disappointing part is it would be my birthday, and you could have celebrated my birthday with me at the October 29th board meeting, but
Good, good. Any members of the public with any questions or comments? Hearing none, any other business to come before the committee? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second,
We're adjourned. Thank you.
Right.
I wanna make one, at our last board meeting,